Okay, I think we'll get going. We have 20 minutes. I think let's enjoy it. I think one thing occurred to me from this morning, we had marketers, we had creative leads. I think the Google conversation was interesting. We learned a lot about Grubhub throughout the session, but we didn't have a single planner really talking. So I thought what we could do is have a kind of discussion from the trenches, and I can try and make it, as a practitioner, hopefully tender and very real, but something that I think is for us. So I hope we can have this time together. I might call on a few people as we go, and just have a very nice conversation, because I think that's my ambition. I think when we're putting the agenda together with the 4As and Elizabeth, I think being kind of halfway through the 2020s, we wanted to have a moment to think about what this discipline could look like for the next 5 years. So I think to get us going, I hope you have either a phone or a notepad in front of you. I would like everyone to close their eyes and imagine yourself, it's 2030. And spend 20, 30 seconds thinking about what are you going to tell to yourself now. With all the disruption that's happening, all the change about in our personal lives, in society, in our industry, who are you going to be in 2030? Now, when you're ready, open your eyes and write the note down, and if it's a word or a statement or a mantra, I think maybe we'll see each other here in 5 years and we can talk about it. But I think it's really important, right, to think about where we want to go individually in a time that feels like the earth is shaking under us and around us. And I think this specific talk we wanted to put together, I think, with the focus to give us a sense of what it means to build our careers and build our agencies and build the brands that we work for to last. And I think there's a kind of a slide that I think is the core of my argument. It's that I think we've somehow, as a discipline, got ourselves to a place where even despite of what we tell ourselves, we have become a back office function. I think we supply artifacts to creatives, to clients at times, but as we'll talk about in a second, we have become expendable. I think we're gaining less and less influence in various rooms that we're in. So it's not a great place. But I do believe there's a way out for us to become a growth engine for our agencies, for ourselves as people, and for our clients as well. So I hope to give you a view of what I think that could look like as we go. And I wanted to get something out there first with a personal anecdote. I think it's, I'm sure we've all been there. I think we sometimes feel like slide machines in our day-to-day. And I'll start by saying that I don't think that strategy is a deck. Trust me. I've built many. A few years ago, we were onboarding a multi-$100 million client into our network, and we put all the presentations together. This was kind of slightly pre-AI presentation on every single thing, from how they could grow, what their audience could look like, what their operating model could look like with us, and it just wasn't landing. And what it took was a trip to London with a key client, a retail and a consumer immersion tour, and a conversation around the coffee around what we want to achieve together. And I think that brand today was a marketer in Cannes, a marketer of the year in Cannes last year, and is really successful. But it was a conversation. It had nothing to do with the arguments and the points and the slides. It was a sense of true partnership and a sense of clarity about what we want to achieve together. Okay. I'm Tomas. I always like to introduce myself just to say hi to everyone. The funny accent is from Slovakia, but I live in New York. And I feel grateful that every single day I get to work with strategists around the world that work in the House of Burnback. So I feel like I can share a lot about what success looks like, what struggle looks like. But I'm also very optimistic about technology and the value of, I think, us representing the reality of how consumers and how people live about their lives. More on that on my website. But I think the crux of it is I don't have all the answers for us as a discipline, as an industry, but I have some thoughts. And over the last few months in preparation for this conversation and for the Future of Strategy report that was published by WARC yesterday, I had the chance to review the results of the survey. I also spoke to many heads of strategy, many planners around this country and around the world. I also spoke to many clients about what they actually want, what they want from planners, what they want from agencies. And I also spoke to many search consultants. I think people that are the matchmakers between agencies and brands to see how they see the world. And it was fascinating. I'm not sure if Lisa is still here I think she was here earlier. But I think that world in particular is fascinating to me because they get to see everyone, they can hear everyone, and it's a really telling view of where we are. And I start with something that was shocking but very real, which is the result to the question of, do strategists believe that they're gaining influence with clients and with agencies, similar data, more or less from the year prior and looking into the year ahead. In 2022, almost 60% of strategists believe that they were gaining influence in the rooms that they're in. Now it's 40. It's 20% decline. If we continue this trend to 2030, only 1 in 10 of us will think that we're actually creating impact. Now I think that's intense, don't you think? I think it's good. It's like pretty intense state of the category that we're in. If this was the certified, practitioners of our accounting conference, I'm not sure that, we would be saying, I don't think we matter. So I don't know what's happening to us, but I think we need to reboot it. I think we need to rebuild it because I think our careers depend on it, and I think health of brands depend on it as well. So let's see what this looks like. And to me, I think the core of, where I struggle, and I would love your thoughts on, is that every single client that I spoke to, every single search consultant I spoke to, they actually want more strategy from their agency partners. They want more planners on their business. They want more strategic conversations. They want more longer-term thinking about what they want from their own business. And yet agencies invest less in it. When you look at your typical kind of agency headcount structure, and I've seen a few of them, when you talk to CEOs of agencies, that is not where they see priority. When they have to cut, they focus on maintaining creative, maybe account management, and they cut everywhere else. I would argue that we've kind of lost the plot. And I'll talk about this in a little bit later, because in absence of us providing the service, clients are going somewhere else. I think I've, in conversations today, kind of shared with a few of you that I think clients are keeping the fun stuff to themselves. Like they come to us with the annoying shit. It's like make the performance work cheaper. Make this Halloween campaign quicker and just like do it. Because it's like it's a promo. I need to do something around it so that it looks good on our quarterly report that we've done something. But the fun stuff of product innovation, long-term growth, those conversations are not coming to us. And I don't think that's just I think it's a statement around our industry overall. I don't think those conversations have gone away. I would actually disagree when we say that our clients are short-term thinkers, because I think somewhere in there, someone is thinking about what's next 20 years of Amazon, what's next 20 years of Google, what's next 20 years of P&G, but it's not coming to us. I would say we have a product market fit problem. I think the market actually wants and demands strategic thinking. I think one search consultant told me that if you're an experienced strategist with critical thinking and creative mind, and you understand AI, then you're the most valuable asset in the market right now. It's not your CCO, because I can scale that through all of the freelance network that I have. It's definitely not my data and performance provider. But if you're a strong strategic thinker, you're the most valuable asset. And yet I think we are not marketing ourselves that way. Hence, I think, for instance, my article is called about rebranding, and me to rebrand what we do a little bit. I'll give you a really quick kind of tour of the pain of the archaeology of the decline. And I'll be very short here. I think even pre-COVID, we've seen the decline in the investment in mentorship, whether it's our own time as leaders, whether it's the investment in training. And when you think of, again, if I were to ask you to close your eyes again, if you think about your high-performing agency, it's a little bit messy, right? There are kind of people talking, for sure. They're discussing ideas. They're thinking through what the best answer could look like. And when you think of a typical agency today, it's a sequence of Teams meetings. And I think the best expression of that to me is the SharePoint notification. Like someone made a comment in the deck that you made. It's like, hey, on this slide, can you make this tweak? Because that's not what the client asked for. Like work has become tasks for us. And when work becomes tasks, guess who's best at it? AI. And I think this is where what I find fascinating paradox about this. So I think, again, I'm optimistic about what the technology can do. But I think we've gotten ourselves as a discipline to a place where instead of, I think, nurturing growth, nurturing critical thinking, we've atomized what we do into tasks. And once it becomes tasks, and the output of those tasks itself is not as great as it could be, of course it's easy to replace. Because I think what AI is great at, I think it's just a little bit better than average right now. And if we are all just a little bit better than average, then we're easy to displace. And I think I feel really bad for people that feel threatened by it, because it's very real. Now, this quote stuck with me because it's, again, super real, I think, for what it means for us as a discipline. If strategy becomes indistinguishable from AI outputs, agencies lose their multiplier. And I think this is incredibly important. We can be quicker, of course. The starting line for all of our thinking can be much further because of all the technology and data that's available to us. But that's the same starting line for everyone. Because I think sooner or later, I think the technology platforms are doing a fantastic job of democratizing what's available. And I think in that world, if we're all on the same starting line, then what is really the point of difference? It's our individual ways of thinking, our individual approaches, the different keys, Christopher, to your point, that are in your key that I think define who you are, that create a multiplier. Now, what do clients want? So I think it's actually quite simple. I think we can talk about it a lot. I think another interesting phenomenon that I find is I think people are kind of scared of talking to clients. It's let me just send this over to you, good, let's move, because I have to move on to these other things. I actually don't want to talk to you. But when you talk to them, it's actually quite simple. I think they just want to win. And I think some of their tenure comments that I've seen about their change is related to the fact that they want to be on a high velocity career trajectory. Now, what that means is they want to win in business. Therefore, they want to see outcomes from us. They want to see social impact. And before we go there, I don't see it in the sense of purpose, but in terms of their respect that they garner in front of their C-suite. Like in the community in which they operate, they want to be seen as true leaders, not as the people that manage the assets or manage the content. And I think in their careers, they want to go places. They want their brand to be famous. They want themselves to have a reputation to manage. So it's quite straightforward, but I think we make it really, really complex for them. And I think the three roles that I think a future strategist will have to become really, really comfortable with, and I would say it's not an experienced creative brief writing planner that is the strategist of the future. I think there is so much more there. I think there are three things. One, I think we need to learn how to simplify in the world of complex. And I think that doesn't necessarily mean we dumb things down. I think that we help to select the best and most optimal path towards winning. Now, secondly, we have to help to orchestrate. Now, that is, if you truly are honest, if we are truly honest with ourselves in what we do, oftentimes we relinquish that responsibility to other groups, right? I think it's someone else that does that. But I think our ability to see the complexity of the world and then advise clients on where they can go to win, I think that's on us. And then thirdly, to my point earlier on my kind of London lunch and walk, we have to be true partners. I think that we're actually in it, that the relationship is not transactional, that our success is joint. And I think, again, we have some work to do there for us to become people that are on the front foot with people that are owning our clients and their business. That's all very well and good, but I think it's also important that we are a little bit weird. And what I mean by that is, I think in this world where, I'm shying away from saying, hey, we need to become creative consultants, because I think that's not who we are. I think it's okay for us to be a little bit weird. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I was brought in to help transform a storied American brand, and that started with the brand transformation and a full kind of overhaul of their product portfolio, go-to-market, everything. So I've got in the room with 30 people, chief commercial officer, chief product officer, CPO, marketing, kind of the entire kind of enterprise structure of the organization. And we were talking about what this brand should be. And no one could agree because, there was 100-year history, people's legacies, they were part of it. So I asked everyone individually to do a 1,000-year-old Japanese method for discovering a passion in life called ikigai. I mean, the word itself is super funny. But then to ask, some people at the peak of their career who manage $1 billion of revenue to say, tell me why you do what you do. And why do you think it's valuable? And what do you think it's helpful? How do you think it's helpful to the people around you? And then scale that up into a brand framework was super weird. And I think people left the room, then they came back. But at the end of it, people were crying, and we had the brand platform. And I think that brand today is New Balance, which I think is I think that's a testament to taking some very serious people and showing them what a bit of weird can do, where you take something out of the ordinary and you bring it into a new context and the value that it creates. And only we can do that. And I have, working at DDB, I have to have a Bill quote. Everyone has to have a Bill quote. And I think that because that's what they saw 70 years ago. That I think rules are what the artists break. The memory will never emerge from a formula. And I think this is our point. I think we have to be knowledgeable in what it takes to understand the quant side of things, to understand how we can optimize the present, but to invent the future, we have to move beyond the formula. And I think that starts with being a little bit weird. In the time that I have 2 tips for you that are, I think, two, that give credit to Bill and his thinking. So I use the little acronym that we'll just cycle through right now. And what I try to do here is to start a conversation. I think there's a lot more there. So to me, a future fit department, and whether you're an individual freelance strategist or whether you run a team of 3 or whether you run a team of 100, I think these principles apply. I think it's okay to start thinking about our department as a business within a business. I think know how your people get paid, what clients are asking from the agency to deliver for your client, and treat it as your own P&L. Because that will then force you as a leader to think about the outputs that you create, type of deliverables that actually create value for clients, and you will learn how to put value on that yourself. Secondly, I think the reason why clients don't give us the fun stuff is because they don't trust us that we know what we're doing, or that we operate in an environment where they can actually confidently make a big decision. I think about how hard it is for them to buy a simple campaign. And in the grand scheme of things of their entire business, that's a tiny decision. And they take us through a spin time and time again. That's because they don't necessarily trust us. And I think what planners can do, we can create an environment that creates that confidence for them. Thirdly, this is another, it could be a whole session on this. Think about the right shape talent for you individually and for the department. I believe that the future strat department looks more like an hourglass, where I think there are people who are really experienced and have seen things across media, across creative, across data, who can truly guide clients end to end. And they're supported through an apprenticeship program with people who are raw, energized, bring outside perspective, and are ready and willing to be trained and brought up through the system. And I think what we need to do as leaders is to expose them when they reach that middle to other opportunities. I think we too often kind of wait for our high potential people, such as our planner of the year, to just find a job somewhere else at some point. You're good, just go and do something else. We do not nurture people's careers where they go and learn and they come back to us. And then lastly, I think we need to obsess about net positive outcomes. And I think Anne-Marie ran a session on this, part of this, as part of one of the workshops. I'll give you one example. I judged Effie's in the UK a couple of weeks ago. There was a case study there. When you've gone through the production and agency fees, and you compared it to what the agency claimed the campaign delivered in the new revenue for the client, the agency spent more money than they made for the client, let alone the production cost of the product itself. We need to understand how our clients make money and actually help them show how our work delivers that to the point of obsessing about growth. We need to be growth consultants for our clients. And then what it means for us as people. This is time to be selfish a little bit. I think I love these types of moments because I think we need to find our people. I think we need to belong. I think we need to support each other more. Find your communities in the environments where you operate, virtual environments, but we need to belong more. I encourage each of you to do a little ikigai exercise. Figure out your attitude, what it is that drives you and what will make you successful. Because to build our individual lives to last, we need to believe in the industry that we're in. I think in this moment in time, we cannot phone it in. You cannot operate on existing ways of working. We have to evolve it. We need the 4As to help us invest in craft more. And we need all the big employers to invest in craft, whether it's through schemes that we have in our individual agencies or through our industry bodies. We need to be really good at what we do. And I think we sometimes kid ourselves. And I think we need to be really diverse in what we do. And then lastly, I think someone said it beautifully yesterday, we need to be the guardians of reality. And I think what that means is the human insight that comes from our true understanding of what drives markets, what drives consumers is invaluable. And I think if we are unapologetically branding ourselves as the guardians of that, we'll all do well. Because I think when I think about, in the more poetic sense, what we do, I think we're not sculptors of ideas. We don't have one kind of baby that we love. We, as planners, always survey the world for opportunities. And I think that makes us gardeners. I think we see opportunities, we help them grow, and we help our clients succeed on the back of it. But then I think we also have to be composers of growth. Well, we help our clients bring everything together to make that successful. So I ask us to think for the next few years about what a rebrand could look like. I'm not sure we need necessarily a new title for what we do, but I think we should carry ourselves a bit differently because we sure have the expertise, the passion, and the brains to do it, just seeing the presentations and the conversations today. Because to me, strategy doesn't just add value, it truly, truly multiplies it. We don't create incremental growth for our clients, we create transformative growth for our clients. So I think if someone is telling you, if you feel worried that we can be automated into irrelevance, I just say, choose burn back. I'm not sure if we hire at the moment, but choose burn back. Thank you so much.
We have time for a couple of questions if anyone wants to submit one. I'll ask, let's say you've got a hot young strategist with great ideas and no experience. What kind of experiences are you lining up for that person to make sure that he or she is going to grow into their potential? What do you think?
I'm not sure if Ethan is still here. It's a person who kind of came to this event. I think confidence is a big part of it. And I've always been a big fan of just exposing people to how it actually gets done. So I think we need to get people in front of the actual work quickly. I don't believe this model of, juniors should do the menial tasks and over time they build their way. I think they're going to do that much quicker than anyone. I think what they bring is much richer lives than I think any of us have. So I think kind of embracing people is what I would vote for.
We have a guest question.
Hi. So, Tomas, when you were talking to the pitch consultants and they were saying that strategy really felt like an under-leveraged asset by agencies, did you get the sense that they felt like there was any baggage in the way that they're thinking about agency strategists now? Like when I read the WARC report and it seemed like clients were more often using brand consultancies or independents, it seemed like there could be some baggage towards strategy in agency departments, like they're just campaign strategists rather than these big thinkers. So I'm kind of curious what you heard.
Totally. No, that's a good question. Yes. I would say shortly, I think hence the rebrand push, because by the time I think when the brief lands in a creative agency these days, the strategy has already been done somewhere. So I think you're producing assets And we could be telling ourselves that we are doing strategy work, but the interesting stuff has already been decided somewhere else. Yeah.
A couple of people would like to really know, how do you create that environment where you've got clients expressing their confidence in strategy and the agency being able to solve the big problems? How do you create that environment?
Definitely no Teams meetings. I mean, I'll be super practical. I think we need to create experiences for our clients that get them into the mindset of, not only is this the rationally smart thing to do, but this is a confident view of the future. And I think that is about time together that shows them what that future can look like.
Love it. We've got a few more, but we also have to move on. So, Tomas, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.